Well, Peter Michaels.
Out both ends?
What?
What's going on both
Out
ends?
both ends. The recording.
Is this
I
how we
think.
tie in Go Services?
No, that's Tech Talk. That's Tech Talk, I
okay.
believe was what they say. So we're recording this right now, just a few days after the interview. But while we're recording, there's something happening in the background. Producer Ryan is watching the Oilers game. He just switched off. He doesn't want to be involved.
No, go back to there. You go.
And it looks like Colorado already has a power play mere minutes into the game, and that should be interesting. What do you think?
Well, I think
You think it's over tonight?
I think it's over. What was Daryl Sutter had said, I think before the playoffs even began, that Colorado
It'd be boring
was,
for anyone. Look, Avalanche just scored.
There it is. Okay.
Ryan's
And
turned the game off.
Yeah, it'd be a waste of 8 days. Is that
waste
kinda
or
what the-
boring or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, yeah. Can't say much about his team either. But anyways, what's that? Anyways,
I think that's it.
So the road, the stage is back. We did something new for this week's episode.
So if you go back to the humble beginnings of us first getting together and saying, hey, we should, this I think is the first time we pulled off what at least my initial vision would have been for the show, and I think yours as well.
Before we knew we had a sweet space like Communal Creative Studios.
Right.
Yeah.
So Zoom meetings are great, and obviously this space is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But originally the thought was a band comes into Bose, they do sound check, we pull them off after
Hang
sound
out
check,
for a bit,
hang out for a little bit, chit chat, and that's the podcast.
And that's what we did, and we did that right behind Bose in the new artist area behind Bose Barn Stage, and with Elliott BROOD. It was a great chat.
Very good chat.
A lot of fun.
A
lot of fun.
Just sit back, grab a bucket of whatever you want to grab a bucket of.
And go listen to Elliott BROOD, because they are, I've never seen them before. Didn't know too much about them. Very talented.
That was my first time in front of them as well.
Yeah.
And I've been honestly listening to nothing but
since.
And I can't wait for new music, because the last album came out in 2020.
I think, yeah.
So
they
they're
did
due.
a Christmas EP this past holiday season too, right?
Yeah, and they did play a couple of new songs at the show at Bose that night as well, and just really, really good dudes.
Yeah, killer set. So check out Elliott BROOD as well as our friends of the show.
We may have enjoyed a gig beer.
That's true.
Well, you'll see
I've
the
been
gig
enjoying
beers
a
on
few
the
gig
table.
beers lately.
So big thanks to Sawback Brewing Company, our good friends at Go Services Inc., and of course Bose Barn Stage.
And subscribe to the Communal Creative Studios YouTube channel, or I will do it for you.
I've seen it happen. He will.
So how's tour been?
Getting back at it has been really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were in Europe for a while, and that was really great. We were out with the Dead South and part of our own tour as well, and it's just nice to be back at it. Like, the audiences were amazing. I mean, in Europe it's kind of there's slightly a different feel, but it's nice to be back here where people can actually sing along with you properly.
Yeah.
And chances are pretty good too. Like, people might be seeing, you might be the first concert back for a lot of, I know we had the Trees here a couple of nights ago.
Yeah,
and I talked to several people that were like, this is our first show since 2020.
In Europe, it was definitely that a lot, and here as well. Getting back, there's people that are out for the first time in 2 years, 2.5 years. That, I mean, it's flattering they'd come to see us first.
They're loving the music, and us too. Like, our first show back actually was last July, and it was in Toronto, and music sounded like it was like coming out in colors. It was like an acid trip or something. It was like, it felt like, wow, music. Oh my god.
For some of us, it was long time ago. Totally.
And how, because you spent so much time where you're like, when are we going to get to do this again?
Yeah.
So how long before some things just kind of became old hat? Like, did it settle right back in again?
It didn't take too long. Yeah. I mean, we started also just we immediately rearranged a song that we had done a certain way and played it a completely different way and started playing new stuff. So it was like all of the stuff that we know that's sort of in the system came back, I think, pretty quick. Yeah. But new stuff came along real quick too. So,
well, and all your worries that you had, like, because we hadn't rehearsed for so long, and it's like we just jumped in the room and instantly started playing a song we hadn't played in like 2 years, and we're just like, oh, this is amazing. And it's very emotional, right? It's like, it's very life affirming. It's just like, oh yeah, this is what we were meant to do. And because you can kind of get down, over 2 years and be like, is this really what we're supposed to be doing? Things are changing. You're living with your family and all that. It's
we mostly try to keep our songs between 1 and 3 chords, so remembering them is pretty. It's not, we're not remembering like Jaco Pastorius bass solos. Or whatever.
Where were we? We were playing in Calgary one time, and we got a text, and it's just like, this band. It's a 3-piece band that plays 2-chord songs, and they play the shit out of those 2 chords. Yeah. That was like the best compliment I think we've ever had, really.
Yeah, man.
Tom Power sent us a text because he was he was riding with some blues guy.
Yeah.
And they rode past it, and he was like, "What the hell is that?" And then we got the text, and that was like, for me, I was like, "That's pretty awesome."
That was the year of the great flood out here.
We used
Yeah.
to say the White Stripes are a 2-piece band that plays 3 chords, and we're a 3-piece band that plays 2.
Perfect.
Right.
Somebody got it. Somebody understood it. You know?
So it
really
makes
works.
sense that it was easy to pick it back up after
Oh,
a
totally,
year and a
yeah.
half or 2 years of not playing.
Now
And
watch tonight when we play. We'll screw up every.
All falls apart,
Dude,
right?
yeah. Well, how does that go?
We
again?
jinxed it.
You can still screw up anything. It's totally simple.
So
It
we're
happens
not
all
to
the time.
expect any prog influence in
No,
tonight's
well,
set.
we'll see. We'll see how crazy it gets tonight. Probably not.
No Crimson antics.
Oh,
No.
yeah, we don't have to remember songs.
Too hard.
We had the Dead South on the show. Oh fuck, year ago.
Almost a year ago.
Yeah, we've been doing this thing for a lot longer than it feels. But and I've missed every opportunity to see the Dead South. Pete's seen them a number of times. But what is it like touring with them?
Oh, spectacular. They're doing everything right. Like
Yeah.
it's a within the small sort of like the world of music we all live in, sort of this like alt country thing. They really like created a show that is like their live show is beyond their records. They created this whole experience for people, and as people, they're very sweet and amazing. So it was easy for us. We just got to get in front of their giant crowds all over Europe. It was
Yeah.
great.
And the crowd is literally like devotees to
Yeah.
them, and
Mhm.
and they're also supporting of whoever they support. So we go on stage and get instant kind of gratification right away. They love us, and this is like in Europe, where like maybe a lot of the crowd don't know us. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it's nice to see a band like that who's probably not really on radio doing that well everywhere. Like the kind of music they make be so popular with people and resonate. So
Well, and it's not something
Massively.
that, again, the style of music, especially out here in the prairies, you think is going to go over really, really well. But I don't think of that alt country, bluegrassy kind of thing when you think of Spain or Germany or. But they
No,
love it, eh?
yeah, they really do. Like France, Germany, Spain. It's like they come out dressed as them. Like there's multiple times on like where you're just like, well, that's Nate, and that guy's dressing like Scotty, and you're just like, you know what I mean? Like they actually dress as their characters of them. So it's kind of interesting to see that.
And I think I talked to Nate the same thing. So obviously being from Saskatchewan, he would have had some of that type of influence. But being Ontario guys, again, that's not the music I would associate with Ontario. So how did you guys get into more of the bluegrass and the banjo picking and
all from Windsor or?
Newmarket.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
It's not even. I don't think we're even influenced by it.
No.
yeah.
I mean, I think more than anything, I was influenced by like rock and roll and, you know what I mean? Like love of the Beatles, love of Dylan and all that stuff and Neil Young. But I mean, I don't know. We just kind of, I picked up the banjo and I just kind of like try to channel myself through it in a different way. Like I knew I wasn't going to be like a picker,
Yeah.
a traditional picker. Like you have Colton in the Dead South. You know what I mean? Like he's a classical picker. Like he can just fly. I knew that I was never going to get there. That's not my strong suit. So I was like, I just started writing songs. So using it more as a percussive instrument and writing songs. And I think we just a lot. The funny thing is like all these people with banjos write super happy songs. And I was like, I think you got to mind the darker side of the
Yeah.
banjo. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of what we did. And I don't know if we were ever influenced, like people gave us,
It was just later. Like I came at it from a '90s grunge kid thing. Like how hard can you play an acoustic guitar until it breaks? That's where I was. So, and I didn't even know George Jones or any of that stuff until now. Like in the last 5 or 10 years, where now that's all I listen to. But I came at it from like there was the '90s sort of blend of acoustic guitar and heavy loud guitar, like Dinosaur Jr., Nirvana. That pop blend is where my head was at, and I had to learn about Stanley Brothers and all this other bluegrass stuff well after. So I
Yeah.
think we sort of came at it maybe just from even
Yeah,
not
when-
Motown, but whatever, like pop music.
There was one huge influence for us. Like when we actually Casey came out to a solo show that I did at the Cameron House in Toronto, and he brought a DVD of Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch and an album by Richard Buckner. I'm not sure
No,
if
not
you're
Buckner.
familiar.
No.
So Richard Buckner put out The Hill, which is it's all these songs that are based on the anthology. What's the Spoon River anthology? And it was just like that was the thing. I was like, that's what I'm trying to write. Like that's in that vein. And I was like, okay, let's start a band. And we kind of like just went for the darker side of things.
And mine from Mark, alternative on the other side was Grantley Buffalo, Grantley Phillips, who's '90s era band. Like they opened for Pearl Jam all the time,
Yeah.
but they were way more obscure. But acoustic guitar through fuzz, and I was just like, that is what I want. I just want to make that sound. Is just loud versions of that kind of stuff. So I think like for us, we didn't come from the traditional country music influences necessarily. Neil Young for sure and that stuff, but like, I mean, even Neil Young wasn't probably influenced that much in that way traditionally, whatever. But
Probably
more
not
than we
back
were.
then, yeah.
Well, I mean, he's got everything, right? He does a little bit of all those things, but I don't know. I think it came more at least for me, it definitely came from just loud.
When I first heard them, I was doing sound, and I met them that way, and they were a duo, and I was thinking, this has got a sort of Blind Melon kind of vibe to it, It's like, Casey's guitar.
Well, and Mark's
soloing.
voice.
Yeah, Mark's
guilty
voice.
on both
Like, wait a
counts.
minute,
I wish I was half as good
So
as
the
either
old
of those
time-
guys.
But they're dressed sort of old timey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the Dead South are kind of now, right? And just like I don't know, they're doing this Alberta they were doing, and like I don't know, like Cadillac Dust.
We did our first tour with knowing like 7 songs, maybe.
Yeah.
Like we just got. I don't know how we did
Just
it.
the punk mentality of like short
We just-
sets.
yeah. We got hired to play in Dawson City on our first tour, and it was from 9 p.m. till close, with like 15-minute breaks, and we knew like 8 songs maybe. I think we played them all like 5 times and just like make stuff up. And it was like, I mean, a lot of these drinks were involved at that time,
Apple
way
juice.
back then. Yeah, a little apple juice. But we managed to, and it was like we made a ton of friends and ended up playing the festival. It was great. It was like, we got really lucky on that first trip, I think. We got to see the whole country thinking, oh, we'll go back to work after this. And then it was like, can you guys come back? We're like,
Yeah.
well, yes,
So
absolutely.
what were some of the first cities or first places that kind of adopted you? Oh, go ahead. Finish.
Lethbridge.
Le-
No,
well,
there's
Lethbridge,
nothing to
yeah.
say. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
leading right into it. We played a few shows in Ontario, and then we got this tour that extended. We had 2 anchor dates. One was Dawson City, and one was Victoria, and for a little bit of money. The rest were actually very little bit of money, or free. We brought a hibachi, and we thought we were gonna fucking do this, and then we had Calgary as the first date, and all of a sudden, our manager at the time, Bonnie, said, "I could get you in at Lethbridge. They're playing you, right? They're playing you on
shit.
the university station." We're like, "That sounds good."
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just, for whatever reason, we were charting. Somebody was playing us, and then we show up to Lethbridge, and we were like, this is, in all seriousness, we're like, is anybody going to even be in Lethbridge? So we're like, maybe we should just go to Calgary, because Calgary is a major city. Everybody's going to be there. And we show up to Lethbridge. They're playing our music as we walk in. Everybody's buying our merch before we even, like, step on the stage, and we're like, what is happening? We just drove 40 hours,
They discovered us.
leaving the Horseshoe Tavern at night and driving
Wow.
to Lethbridge, Alberta to
we
play
had
the tongue and groove.
We had the like balls to think, we should just ditch this first show and not do it. But that was a very small thought. It was like, because we just didn't know, what is this small town, what's going to happen? And it ended up being like, we had asked to come back through on the Sunday for this open mic thing. We ended up making like lifelong friends with a ton of the people there. We're going to see them in a week when we
Yeah.
come back through or whatever. So it was our first introduction to Alberta in general. And we've been coming here a lot since then. Like
Calgary
I think,
is a bit of a different story.
well, the first time was rough. It would have been a rough first one, but it obviously got way better over the years.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
It became a stronghold.
But Lethbridge just set the tone for everything.
Yeah.
Actually. In
Like the band as a whole.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We drove from it was a long drive. We got there and it ended up being absolutely like incredible. And I still think that's the city we've played most outside of like home. We've come out so many times to do weird one-offs there and everything, like agricultural fairs
Yeah,
or whatever
yeah,
there
yeah.
is, like South Country Fair, all that stuff. So yeah, it's an awesome place. And we're going back through after 2 years, whatever it is now, like everywhere else.
Yeah.
The whole situation. But
And when you say other than home, are we talking GTA or just like Toronto, Hamilton?
yeah, I'm considering it as like Toronto, Hamilton area.
Yeah,
for sure.
okay.
Like, where
'Cause,
you
I
don't
mean-
have to- you can come home that night or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when we first started, I mean, we played Toronto quite a lot.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like just figuring it out. I mean, even when we made our first CD, we were like, how many are we going to sell? 100? So we made 100. Then we kept selling them. It's one of those things where like you can go out with all these grand ideas to do something. And it's like, that was never our idea in the first place. It was just like, let's play some music, record it, and then see what happens. And,
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I went on EI and got caught. I had to pay it back because I didn't know. I was like, okay, I'll go do these shows. I'll get laid off, and
nobody considers this a real job
Yeah,
anyways,
exactly.
right? Like,
Even the government, even the government is like, you're not really working. But I was working across the country. It's like, no, give that money back.
I remember I had to repay $413. That's what I had like gotten away with.
Pretty pissed too.
I could have used it, you know. But it was like because I didn't know what at that time. I was kind of like, I'll be back working eventually. This is a fun thing to do in the summer, but this can't last. And it's like 22 years. Good
Yeah.
God, still.
You learned your lesson for Serb.
Taxes aside.
That's an important hard lesson. I've talked to a few people who have been like, "Fuck, I owe all this money." I'm like, "Well, I mean, they did warn you."
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're very excited to have you here at Bose. It's going to be a good show. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Pete is too.
Very much so.
I think Pete's eyeing up the merch table too.
So, well, I was going to eventually lead back to some baseball talk for sure. I
Sure,
was going to let
sure.
that slide, but I mean, obviously, taking a look at that merch table.
Yeah.
Nice little throwback to the Expos in a jersey and the hats there.
Yeah.
It's homage. I keep joking that until we're a big enough band, no one's gonna bug us about that, and we'll have made it when someone sues us.
You know
for
what's
that logo.
really
There you go.
funny is it was a charity hockey team from here in Red Deer, and we used to play them like beer league style stuff. And it was a group of doctors here, so they called themselves the Mighty Docs.
That's good.
Great.
That's pretty good.
Unless
they-
you're Disney.
Unless and how Disney ever
come
found it. So and then
on.
their logo was the duck mask, but they had a stethoscope in behind it as the logo. Somehow Disney found out.
But
and,
they're not
they
making
were-
any money off that.
They were
They have better lawyers than the MLB.
they were doing it for
Yeah.
for
Anyways,
charity
let's-
and- yeah. So
No pictures of the
No
Elliott
pictures
Brood
of the
merch
merch.
table tonight.
Well, it's totally different. Ours is ELB. It's an
Yeah,
ELB. It's
yeah.
very
Right.
clear.
White circle in it. It's totally different. It's not the same thing.
It looks very
and you're
cool.
allowed to like parody things to a certain extent, right? That's all part of.
I think you are allowed. It's to me. It's as well as anyone using music for free and video, whatever. It happens all the time. To me, it's an homage thing to those kinds of like emblematic Canadian things.
I happen
Well,
to
the-
know you guys have one of the best entertainment lawyers around, so I'm sure
Hey,
it'll all be very.
But you know
good.
what? There's a lot of but there's a lot of posters out there. Like if you go like Pearl Jam and all of that stuff, where they'll play in Milwaukee or whatever, and they have the Brewers, and they turn the logo into Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
You know
They're
what I mean?
still.
Like-
They just did it. They did a show in L.A. and they used the Rams logo.
Yeah, exactly.
for it,
It's like
essentially
you're
right.
You're just kind of like
We're treading with playing with fire because there's a guy who knows us who also took his photo arm in arm with Trudeau, right? With
with the hat
Justin,
on, yeah.
JT with the he had our logo hat, and you know Justin's like a Montrealer, and
Yeah.
you know
I don't know.
it's
if
getting
JT
pretty
likes the
close to.
Brood. I'm not sure if he's.
Right, I know, but one of his buddies are gonna see that. and
Oh.
it's like, you know, it's-
no.
He didn't ask you about the hat though.
Well, you never know where your hats are
getting
going to go,
sued by a
Steve.
billionaire is not such a bad.
It's
thing.
the Norm Macdonald.
billionaire. Who's the billionaire?
Perspective.
Actually, it's MLB.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get if I keep
Right.
talking shit about Michael Jackson on Weekend Update, maybe he'll sue me, and that would be cool.
Yeah. Any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
If we got sued by the MLB, that's something we could use towards
Sure.
some publicity. Like that's
Sure.
the band who tried to be the Expos or something.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if the Expos do end up coming back? Because there's been talk for so long
That would
about
be
them
amazing.
splitting
Well,
the
we would
team half
definitely
and
kill
half.
it.
Hats.
Yeah.
More hats.
Yeah.
More hats.
It's got to be one of the greatest logos ever.
It
so
for sure is.
that's also part of it. We're fans of the artwork of it all and everything too, right? Like we have one. We didn't bring it out yet, but we did a Hartford Whalers one turned sideways. So the W is an E and the tail turns into a B. So we may get into that one too.
And
It's
those
like
logos are
vintage
so
70s.
like,
right?
and again with that Hartford logo,
Brilliant.
it was so long into knowing that logo before I realized, oh shit, that's
W
an
and the
H,
H, it's in there.
and there
Yeah.
as well. And same thing with the Brewers
The
logo.
Brewers
It's
is one of the
just a
best.
catcher or
One of
just
the
a mitt,
best. There's
but it's an M and a B. Like it's
amazing, yeah.
yeah, very well
But
done.
that's when some of those I think that era of logos 70s all sports that's when like the Nordiques one is another one. That is so gorgeous of a logo.
Yeah.
They don't do it that more.
ELB is Elizabeth Bronfman. The guy who owned the
It's
team.
named after
Right,
it's
right,
named
right.
after his daughter. That's correct.
Oh,
Well, he
shit.
worked it into the logo.
Yeah.
He asked them to work it into it.
And you're the graphic designer in the group, or
Oh yeah, he is.
yeah.
But Casey came up with the Expos one because I was thinking Brooklyn Dodgers somehow. I'm like, we got to do something, and I'm like, and then he sent it to me, and I was like, well, that wins. Like, I mean, like, why am I even bothering? You know?
We need to do something with the Detroit logo or something, but that's he turned it into a B instead of a. Sometimes that one was just a no-brainer. It turned it in. That was
Yeah, but I
Too-
did not
too
see
perfect.
it. I had
Too
totally
perfect.
missed it. I was like Jackie Robinson, Brooklyn. Let's do it
Yeah.
with the B, and it was like, anyways, Sometimes you strike lightning in a bottle, right? So-
I have to, and I'm sure you've talked about it a million times, but I have to ask Steve about this fucking suitcase situation
Okay,
because I was
Go.
reading it and I was like,
we got a few hours.
it's like I didn't know Samsonite made
It
instruments.
has to be a Samsonite. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
on the Wikipedia, on the Elliott BROOD Wikipedia, it references your Samsonite
Rest in peace.
silhouette.
That's right.
Yeah,
It's good.
which
60s. It's like a 60s travel suitcase. At the time, was the most fashionable thing, but they didn't know that it had a 100 hertz tone if you hit it right.
and how did you find that out?
Hitting them. It goes back to the beginning when these guys
Yeah.
were playing on their own and they were playing stomping, right?
Yeah.
So my drumming style with their acoustic guitars, it would have like a kick drum would have overpowered the stomp.
Mhm.
So I just embellished the
Gig beer.
stomp, right? Yeah. Got to put that on the mic. Yeah. So it was an embellish of that stomp, and then I just had a snare, and I realized I'm all about like less is more, hopefully. So I could put all my stands, right? You know, hopefully.
Immediately both of these guys are like, what?
Yeah.
You
Well,
just
I'm
flat out
trying to scale it down here.
Just lied.
Yeah. So yeah. But and I will also say, once the amps came out, you know, that thing was getting buried. We went right through the kick pretty fast once he gets that amps.
I think we started to go through quite a few of them once he started to try to keep up with us when we introduced amps.
Quite a few of them being the
the
Samsonite
suitcase.
silhouette or just
Yeah.
suitcases in general.
We had a spot in Chicago where we would get them. There was a place across from the Chicago Music Exchange where the most expensive guitars in the world are, and across the street are the cheapest
The
suitcases.
pawn shops, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd
we'd
be
get
in
a bunch there
banging
all the
them.
time.
Yeah, I'd get a few backups. Like in Lethbridge is a good place too, and I usually had one extra.
But for whatever reason, a lot of Chicagoans, Chicagoans,
Chicagoites?
ites.
I think it's Chicago.
Somebody answer that
I
for
think
us.
you're right.
But anyways, there was just a plethora of those. we
Samsonite
found-
silhouettes.
the
I'll tell you
silhouettes.
this. You know what employees of thrift stores love? Guys smashing suitcases for an hour to test to make sure they sound good. They love that. That's their
What's this
favorite
guy
thing.
doing?
I'm
I
volunteering.
never got escorted
Why do I have
out.
to listen to this? I'm volunteering in this. Store.
That's why there's security at thrift stores now. Okay, I got it.
We cause that.
So it's you're just banging an empty suitcase.
Oh yeah. And then,
you're holding it in
I'd
place with?
modify, we put a mic inside.
Wow.
And yeah.
But tell them how you built. Actually, you built
I'll
the
stand so
the
that-
apparatus.
Because when you hit it, it's going to fall over, right?
Yeah.
So I'd use the stands to hold it up, but then it would come back at me.
Right.
So I had to actually build something on the other side, like two little pegs to stop it on that side. But it still has to resonate. You don't want to like clamp it.
Yeah.
Right. Some people, they see the suitcase and they get it wrong. They clamp it
I'm
onto the
not
wood and
surprised.
They lose all the resonance. Yeah.
Don't get the 100 hertz.
Yeah.
Major innovators in our time, like Steve Jobs
Yeah.
and Steve Pitkin.
That's
I
right.
was just
Yeah,
thinking,
man.
I feel a
Suitcase
documentary coming
Yeah.
on. Like a good, like 2 hours.
I mean, it's-
a
2 hours.
3-part, 2 hour.
The less is more doc.
Well, especially because in the Wikipedia post, which is quite a lengthy paragraph about this.
Did you put
this
that in there?
suitcase.
No?
It
don't
says
know
that
how to
you
put that in.
retired it after a rowdy show with, was it the United Metal Workers?
Workers
Steel
of
Workers
Montreal.
Montreal, which I thought you guys were doing some sort of union rally, but it's they
No.
were actually a band.
So we played, and then the next night we were in Peterborough, and Jay Rowan, who was this guy that would bring us into town to play, put it actually up, asked for it, and put it on the wall.
Yeah.
Like,
I think it might
Beautiful.
be Jay that wrote the Wikipedia, because he's in there, right? He's like featuring.
Yeah.
The good thing about Wikipedia is anyone can write whatever they want.
Yeah.
Well, I was wondering if I was getting fooled.
No, it's totally
It's like
real, yeah.
shit.
no, we look at our Wikipedia page all the time.
I had
Make
the
sure.
Every
kick drum.
morning.
I had a kick drum in the van waiting, because if it ever happened that I go through it, so we didn't lose much time, right? You did a little solo, and then out comes the new kick drum, and a new era was born.
Wow. And was it hard to find the right kick drum?
No, I had it going.
Like when
Yeah,
Steve went to
sounds
a
like
kick
it.
drum was the equivalent of like Dylan going electric.
Yeah.
That's when
Everyone
people were
got
like, they didn't
pissed
know what
off
to-
at us. Yeah.
They're like, "What's Brood with a real drum? I don't get this." Pete Seeger's taking an axe to them. It's crazy. Yeah,
Wow, that's
that was a big moment in our
that's incredible.
shift, yeah.
So no suitcase tonight. You're not traveling with extra luggage.
A 26-inch kick.
Yeah.
Canadian made.
Yeah.
Oh,
Out of Waterloo.
Waterloo, yep. They're called YC drums, and he started with the Arkells. This is a custom drums that I'm using now.
yeah.
So Jordan Gauthier, he's It's wonderful.
And like
Wonderful.
how in depth do you personally get into the
right
the
into it,
customization
man. We
process?
designed it together. Yeah.
You pick the wood and everything?
Dimensions. Yeah. Well, he's got the hoops.
Yeah.
But I picked the side.
I was saying that's
Such
major-
emphasis.
He's got the hoops.
Hoops. You got to say hoops.
Oops, there it
Steve's
is.
major input was like make them round,
Make them round.
Okay.
and then that was it.
Put drum heads on.
The color and everything.
Yeah, we did the color, all that.
No temptation to make it the same shape as the Samsung.
I held his hand and I'm like, you got to saw it here. No.
Wow, that
I don't
sounds
think
very
you
cool.
know the Samsonite was like long gone by that time.
Yeah.
We just wanted a nice big kick.
Right on. And we're gonna see it tonight.
We'll see it. Yeah.
Very cool.
So there, yeah, I'm sensing a lot of design stuff. I watched a little bit of the video series you guys did on the suits,
Oh yeah.
which is and you
Jen
guys have brought
Boyne.
it up in there as well about making sure that she get her just due because she did an amazing job.
Oh,
on that.
she's
But the
she's
suits
brilliant.
are incredible.
And I mean, to do them from afar, like she's like, okay, send me your dimensions, and I had to do like, I'm like Facebook or FaceTiming her and be like trying to do my measurements and figure it out, and she like nailed it. Like, she asked for our input, we told her what we kind of wanted. I think Casey's, in all fairness, is my favorite. It's Rose City.
It's almost. I look at it, I'm like, that's a lot, man. That's like I don't play guitar solo, so I'm like, I don't know if I should be wearing this thing or whatever. But it is very white and bright. But we end up having to give her business card out almost every night.
Yeah.
Or her, I should say, Instagram account. I get asked every night,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
who did this? And they're like, I got a wedding coming up. So just be busy with it.
Again, like we worked with them, the
Yeah.
design. We worked right with her.
Like just recently, I just got a new guitar made as well, like this luthier out of Hamilton. It's just like it's like buy local. Like all these people that there's so much talent in Canada.
Mhm.
There's so much talent all over. You know what I mean? Like it's like go and Jen reached out to us, and I was like, well, yes, I would love one of those suits, but I don't know if we're gonna ever get them. And then I was like, funny enough, we all agreed that we wanted suits, and I was like, this is amazing. So it's like to end up playing them every night, it kind of changes things for you as well. It's like it just gives it this other feeling.
And in the build, does she take performance into account as well? Hockey jerseys have come so a long way with all the wicking
Right.
technology.
Oh, I don't know
Are
if
they-
there's wicking. No,
They're still
it
pretty
looks
warm?
like somebody shoots me in the back every night. It's just like I take it off and it's a blood stain, like all the it's just so wet and disgusting.
She's using vintage fabrics. There's no new breathable anything.
Yeah.
But it's like I can make it 3/4 of the way through the show before it has to come off every time. There's a point where I just got to be like, okay, I'm done looking. I gotta go. Like I just gotta get to
Throws
t-shirt
it on
level.
like
But
that.
Okay,
until
so then the next important question is how many versions of the suit are there, or is there just one?
Just one.
So how?
But I gotta
Don't
say,
smell
I will. Yeah, don't smell them. But I will say, I'm waiting for the summer. I did order a second one.
Yeah.
And it's
Because you got a shirt. You didn't get
yeah,
a suit. You
yeah.
got
They
pants.
got suit jackets, and I'm like, I don't like to be too sweaty. So yeah.
I like sweating. Like I just want to just.
Well, and you also have to be a little more unencumbered,
Yeah. See, I
right?
work a lot harder than these guys. So it's like,
Okay, yeah.
yeah. Right, guys.
Yeah,
See,
totally.
they called him out on the previous lie, but this one, now
This
we know
is
that's,
so-
No,
that's
this is
the
the
lie
truth.
detector
This
test.
is the truth.
This is the truth.
That's right.
He's a hard worker.
Okay,
That's fine.
I'm out.
I mean, we could get into details and stuff, but
When-
we'll move on to the next question.
Next question.
Okay, when Pete and I are getting ready to interview fantastic musicians like yourselves, we share a docs note, and he wrote a communist Mick Fleetwood, Saskatoon.
Oh,
That just came up. That just came up.
Way too quick.
What's this about?
You are too quick. Okay,
this guy right
what city was that? It was
Saskatoon,
I think is what-
Saskatoon, yeah. Just a guy after the show, like, you talk to people at the merch table, and he's like, you know what? You look like a communist Mick Fleetwood up there, man. And I'm like,
What makes
Okay.
you look? What makes
I
you
was
look
just gonna say,
communist?
like, I thought
I think
maybe
it's
you
the
said
hat that he wears.
something or alluded
oh,
to
nothing, no
some.
political. But I had a bit of a Che Guevara hat.
can't go your own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It looks like a Cuban kind of hat. I don't know
Yeah,
what
so-
you said.
Okay.
Che
Che
Guevara.
Guevara.
Re- revolutionary.
Yeah,
Mick
revolutionary.
Fleetwood. Then.
So
okay.
yeah,
Revolutionary drummer.
somehow the
Yeah.
Mick Fleetwood, the simple drums, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I could.
And we're gonna see
kinda
that hat
I
tonight.
will take that because Mick Fleetwood, I'm a huge idol of.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. So-
honestly,
yeah.
there is a little Mick Fleetwood resemblance. I can't say communist, but there is a little
Thank
Mick
you.
Fleetwood.
When they said the communist, I was just like, oh, it was pretty funny.
Someone replied like more like a social democrat.
Yeah,
up there.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay, yeah.
A little,
Let's get to the
little
street.
less to the
Yeah.
side, I
No,
guess.
that's all it
You
was.
should see
Yeah,
his
yeah.
Jack Layton. Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah, he actually did. He
Well,
went.
that's what surprised me.
in-
is We're in Saskatoon, right? Like, was that not the
Same place.
the foundation of the NDP?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
where Sutherland's grandfather.
Yeah.
What the hell is
Yeah,
his name?
so that's where it happened. So is that
Our nationalized healthcare.
in the same town?
We're gonna
Yeah.
fall
Fuck.
Who was it?
No,
Duh.
Uh-oh.
Not Doug.
Pause.
Yeah, it's Sutherland.
Is it Douglas?
Douglas?
Yeah,
Douglas.
I knew it was
Jack Douglas.
Jack
Douglas.
Douglas.
Yes,
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 yes.
yes.
Somebody said it.
Social Democrat.
You
point.
pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now.
And that's where I did the Jack Layton invitation. The same city.
Okay,
for
wait.
Halloween.
He was Halloween,
Yeah.
he was Jack.
Yeah.
What do you?
I went as
People kept telling me that I look like Harper.
I look
Tommy
Tommy
Douglas.
Douglas.
Tommy Douglas.
Tommy
Yeah, yeah,
Douglas.
yeah, yeah.
Douglas sounds
You
like
just-
a 1930s boxer.
Googled under the table, didn't
No,
you?
I
You just
didn't. I was
Googled.
like, I was rolling through here.
Steve told a lie
Go
again.
back, edit. Yeah, third lie. I'm out.
Okay, wait. What do you mean, Jack Layton impression? You're just
Jack
pulling
Layton.
this
No, I
out?
was dressed as him for Halloween. And
Oh.
it was like, it was Jack
That's
Layton. It was
incredible.
like he
I
was
used
Jack. He had the
cornstarch
mustache.
to make my hair white. I grew it in. I had the.
Oh, that's
the
incredible.
mustache. I went to a mustache.
There's a
Yeah.
photo available. I don't know what the editing is, but we could put it onto this. You
Yeah,
can see it. It's
yeah,
amazing. It's
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, you find that.
That was a fun. I can't remember what I dressed up as, but
You were the guy from Ghostbusters.
not that year. Not that year. No.
You might have been the only one.
Rick
dressed
Moran-
up. Maybe it
Rick
wasn't Halloween.
Moranis
Maybe
is-
it was
Maybe
just
it wasn't
Jack
Halloween.
Layton.
Wait, you went
Yeah,
as
he
you went
just
as Rick
passed away.
Moranis's
Yeah.
Ghostbusters
Character, yeah,
character?
yeah.
So a few months after he passed away, he's like, "Is this too soon, guys? You know, like, it's okay." And
You know what? I wish I saw more Jack Layton impressions
will.
these days.
Yeah.
Right?
6,
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of forgotten about that guy a little bit.
we saw him that year at festival
Dude,
too.
he was
Where was it?
He was peaking.
You could argue the
Yeah,
country would be
he
a
was.
completely different place. If
Oh,
he hadn't
100%.
passed. Would be maybe a completely who
His
knows?
trajectory right then was like, oh, it was
Absolutely. We
remarkable.
got to meet him at a festival
Yeah.
in
Smithers, BC.
was it, and
Yeah.
he was like genuinely like, what a great
Hanging
guy.
out, you know.
No,
Yeah.
I don't, if you had no political beliefs whatsoever, genuinely interested in speaking to you, made you feel like he was listening to what you're saying. He talks to people all day long.
Yeah.
What a great guy he
Yeah.
was.
I once met him at the Horseshoe as well. Like he would go and watch music, and
Really?
I was just like, "That's Jack Layton.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome."
That's
and
so
he was like
sick.
very approachable as well, right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's how how do you say posthumous, whatever.
Yeah.
Posthumous. He, he's he was pretty freshly deceased, and I was out there imitating. But it was all in total respect. It was
Yeah.
like,
Totally. Oh yeah, I don't.
You had,
like,
you had an
yeah.
orange tie on, I think, right?
oh
you-
yeah,
you
we
did- you
yeah,
had
and
a
it's some
couple-
political buttons.
And did you
all
play a
that.
show like
Yeah,
that?
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's
I did a speech. I tried. Yeah.
Is that true?
No, I tried. Yeah, partially true.
I think we almost need
Partial.
to hear some of this.
Are we running out of
Do we-
tape here?
Yeah.
a little rusty. A little rusty.
Edit some
Yeah.
shit.
Have we done any interviews recently? I don't think so.
Not like not with all this booze.
Yeah.
Well, and
Your apple juice, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Pre-show
this is
apple
gone.
juice.
It's delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I got this is the big beer, this gig beer is really good too.
goes
First
down
time trying
really easy. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
Sawback-
It's a real
makes
Sawback
sense?
helps us out on the show.
Sawback Brewing
Sawback,
Company.
Very
Yeah.
good. I like the name too. It's a simple,
Gig beer.
and it's a little bit of a lower percentage, so you get through the
It's
gig a
your
little bit.
it's your $5 can for show night. So it's a good time.
I want to go cut the grass after I drink this.
There you
That's
go.
going with me,
I was just thinking it's the lawn mowing
It is.
beer.
Well,
It's
that's what
100%.
that's our
Yeah.
thing. To be honest, I mean, these guys have put an ixnay. How do you say stop drinking? Stop drinking, basically. But IPAs have
0.5.
always been our enemy. We've never been in
Yeah.
that world of like that flavor. It's always been like we don't. So we've had a couple beers made for us, like Elliott BROOD, BREWE,
yeah.
little runs.
That's awesome.
And they're like, "What kind of beer would you like to do?" It's like Miller High Life, basically.
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah,
like
yeah,
Outdoor grass cutting beer.
Oh, they had an Elliott brewed coffee too out of Edmonton,
true. Yeah,
right?
that's
Right. Yeah. High Horse. Yeah.
Coffee
Very cool.
brewed for us.
How was that? What was that process like? Did they just come to you like we want to name a coffee after you, or do you have some input?
I think that was through our record label.
Yeah.
And I think, well, Shauna, who's the head of our label, Six Shooter Records, she's from Edmonton
Okay.
originally, and I think maybe she had her friend actually owns it or something like that, and they approached them and they were totally into it and sent us up so much coffee, and all during the pandemic. So we got high on our own supply of coffee for months.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. Yeah. And you never know what you're getting. I mean, especially with coffee, we like to have good coffee, right? And
Yep.
the beers too. Like you want it to be good. Like if you're putting your name on it, so it's a bit of a yes, we'll take.
But it's
yeah.
another
And it was
collaboration
actually
with a
amazing.
small company.
Yeah,
I was gonna
the
say,
coffee
who do you
was-
team up with for the
Yeah.
beers? Is it
We've
the
done a
s-
thing with
yeah.
Collective before.
Okay,
Cool.
yeah.
One was a small brewery outside of Goderich, Ontario, called Square Brew, and they did this whole run of beer, and they actually put shirts into beer cans and made that a merch item. So you get involved with these other people who are doing small level artistic things on the same level that you're doing, and you can partner up and do these weird little events. So we played the brewery. They had all these like unique merch items for people. It was really cool. And then a run of a keg or two of like Elliott Brewed beer or whatever.
Did we do one for Bose? Like, did we do something for Bose?
No, we did a 7-inch.
label.
We did music.
Oh, the music.
We do,
thing.
Right.
They're another brewery. I mean, what would you know about like breweries and musicians being like simpatico with like most of the things? Like we work together
Yeah.
very well, right? You
Yeah,
know,
go
alcohol and music somehow.
Well, when we saw
coffee.
the rock station in town, this guy mostly responsible for setting it. We call it Beer in a Band, where we team up with a local brewer, collaborate with a band on a beer, and then we'd have a big show.
The big show
Yeah,
when you're
it's-
when you're way in, everybody gets to. The very first one we did was with Colorado,
Yeah.
and they did a Kolsch, which is a pretty easy drinking beer, but they decided they wanted to do an Imperial Kolsch, so it came in at
It was heavy as hell, but it was
7.8%.
delicious. Yeah.
But it drank like a
It was
4%,
super
right?
smooth,
And
yeah.
it was that was a messy night. That was a pretty messy
Yeah,
night.
that was.
Yeah, and I think those are important things. It's just like it's all the like it's same with coffee and everything else, right? And those little things you can do with other people that are making small things like we consider our music, you know, like craft music, whatever you want to call it or whatever. That's
Well, and we
Craft
pretentious.
music. Yeah.
No, but I mean, we're not, you know, we're doing what we do on our own little level.
Yep.
And when you can collaborate with other people who are making, because I consider ourselves like we make. Everyone has a little IKEA in their music catalog. Like you got the popular stuff, but
Yeah.
I'd like to think what bands like us do is make something that's a little, hopefully a bit more unique, because they won't let it be on the radio, so that makes it unique. But you know, like you have some pieces that are a little more rare or whatever. Dead South's another example. Like the bands like that who just make something a little bit different from what we all know and hear when we turn your cars on or whatever. Right?
Well, and it captures a crowd. I don't want to call it a niche crowd, but it captures a crowd of music seekers, maybe
Yeah.
you want to
Well,
say it.
I had read an interview with a promoter in Golden, not Gold. Was it Golden?
I read that.
The one in Golden.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Those
Pat
are-
Lagar.
those are really
So
funny
he
interview,
talked
actually.
about bringing you guys out. In the first show, there was 3 people.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
the
that's
next
Pat,
the
yeah.
next show there was about 350 people. And then I like the interviewer said, "Well, how was the last show?" And he's like, "Oh, it was so."
Yeah, I know. That was such
See,
a
that's,
funny
that's,
interview.
and that's exactly
that
where we're
quote.
like, we're coming back, and some people aren't ready to come out yet, and is this going to be okay and all that? But the Golden's a great example of a promoter who really loves the band and always takes care of us, no matter what the climate is with that, and it's great. We'll see him in another 2 weeks, I guess we're back there.
Well, and that's the one thing is like we work personally with promoters. Like
Yeah.
we meet people, and it's just like these are relationships, much like the relationships that we have with the people that like we're partnering with. Be it Jen Boyne, who's making our suits, or somebody that's making guitar or drums or whatever. It's like and I think that's the thing I like most about touring, is the amount of people that you meet and the relationships you have with people. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like over the years. Right.
We've talked a lot on this show about the community of music, and that just it extends. It's the extended community of it, which is beautiful.
Well, how amazing is it for you guys to have a place like this in this town? I would think, like, to be honest, I don't think there's many venues in this entire country who treat artists like Bose does. There's not. There isn't.
we
We
It's
keep hearing that
unbelievable.
fairly regularly.
It's like
yeah.
to have it here in the middle of two of your 2 big cities here is pretty unique. And the way that we don't deserve this. I mean, that's how I
Well,
feel.
then
It's like, this is a
let's
lot,
get into
you
the
know?
dirt of it.
Yeah,
What's on the rider?
Oh my
what's
God.
What's on
our
the
rider,
What's not on the ride?
our rider, the rider here, the best was like, oh, we're gonna bring out more food. I was like, well, that fruit tray and all the drinks is like plenty. It's like the meat tray and the cheese tray. It's being respected and being appreciated is a great thing, and it's just like, and not to badmouth promoters, but not every promoter gets that. Not every venue gets that, and it's just like to come in here and to be treated the way that we're being treated
Like,
here
to
is.
name a patio after us, for that to have happened today.
So
I mean, who knew? We didn't know.
I don't like, not to ruffle any feathers, but we keep hearing this when bands come through, and we have shows of all different sizes here, right? What is it about this industry that prevents more of this? Do you think there's like a missing link or like a misunderstanding of the synergy of bringing artists to your home?
All depends on why people are bringing you in.
Yeah,
If their whole mindset is just money
profit.
and profit,
Yeah.
it's different than, yes, we both want to participate in this and we both want to make money. And not every time is every show sold out, and
Yeah.
not every time is a show making money. But the whole thing is, we're on the road. We're working really hard. We're kind of coming in, and it's like to be treated like this and to know that everything's dealt with and taken care of, and that it's like anybody inviting you into their house. If they invite you into their house and then they totally screw you over and
Yeah.
they don't treat you properly and you're like, they didn't talk to us.
Yeah.
It's like, you come in here and you're welcomed into their house, and it's like everybody's great, everything's amazing. Like isn't that what you want? That's the relationship that you want with people. That's the communication that you want. And
yeah, I mean, it feels like they're putting music right up top with food. That like it feels like that's the goal of what this place is. It's like great food, really, really great food.
Yep.
And music, and you know, and a bunch of drinks and a bunch of other things. But yeah, I don't know what the secret formula is, but they seem to be doing it here. Like, and I think you'll get a better show out of a band when they feel so comfortable that there's no tension. There's not, you know, everything's, the stage is super pro. Like our tech who's with us is like so happy right now. He's running around. I don't know what he's doing, but he's like, this is the best. It's like everything's so good.
They're the hardest to please, right?
Well, yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
And not every venue can afford sound systems like this.
Yes,
and
you're
in
right.
all fairness, it's just, but it's more just taking care of a band.
Yeah.
It's just like, you know, understanding what they're going through to get there. It's like, it's just that relationship and knowing that the music is the most important, not like just us, but everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you can.
Yeah, it can't be easy in a town this size to keep crowds coming. Like if you have a bunch of shows a week, there's only so many ticket dollars. We understand
100%.
that. You know, like,
especially
you're in a
now,
big
'cause
busy time right now.
everybody's
Crews were
coming
here,
through,
and-
right? Yeah, like it's so we
Scenic
saw my
routes coming
son's
through.
working here now,
Yeah.
and like it's like 3-4 nights a week every single week.
Yeah. Wow. But that's what I find it fascinating that they put all this forward and made it a place like this. Because we were here maybe 8 years ago. I don't know, 7. I can't remember.
Maybe 4 or 5 years ago was last time we were here.
So I think you guys played here.
2017 or something.
Well, I think there was a 20. I think I had found an article from the paper here that was 2014, and I think you played at the Hideout.
That's
Does that sound?
right,
I think it was 2014 at the Hideout. I think is.
How long is? Yeah, this bar probably hasn't even been around all that long.
Well, so
It's
and
just
funny,
changed a lot.
and it's changed a lot. And the Dead South was one of the first bands that played here.
Yeah.
And I
Well, who
forget
was the band
exactly.
we had a couple weeks ago? That was they actually played the first show that Brennan ran here.
Oh wow.
They played here in the last like month.
Yeah.
Cruise?
No, it wasn't the Trues.
Who was it? We've had so many goddamn
Canadian.
shows.
Yeah.
Not Corb.
No, it
but
wasn't
Corb
Corb.
has.
We had Future
been in
Islands here last
Yeah.
week, which
Come
was
on.
But so like to
Come
go back
on,
crazy,
that'd be
man.
amazing.
to the evolution to get to a show like Future Islands.
Yeah.
When the stage was not even a foot off the floor,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you did. You guys?
Well, we have gone through that evolution with certain clubs and
Okay.
seen that happen.
No, whenever we
Royal Canoe.
Yes.
Royal Canoe.
Oh,
Royal
that's
Canoe.
right.
Royal
Yeah.
Canoe. There.
One of the first bands to play like the new Bows
Yeah.
many years
So
ago.
that stage eventually just came up higher, and then for a little while there was still a booth, like a table and chairs on stage left.
Yeah.
So while the band is playing, there's still some people sitting here. Then eventually that became the merch booth.
Yeah.
And then the stage just kept going up and then out, and then
Oh,
the
I
lights
mean,
got added.
admittedly, the
and-
first time we came here, we're like, this is not, what is this? We came here in the afternoon. We didn't know. It was like a restaurant. We're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
whatever. It's like a Texas Roadhouse, whatever. And it was amazing. The show was so good. I mean, obviously now we know that. But at the time, you never know. Like venues, you go to different weird places, and it was kind of like, it was, I think we arrived around the same time. It was like, it's like a restaurant we're playing in. And the stage was the earlier version, I think, a little bit smaller. But I mean, that show ended up being incredibly awesome. So
No, it's funny you say that because we had Royal Canoe here about a month ago, and do you know Zune, Dan Monkman?
Yes, he's amazing.
So he opened up, and I've been DMing with him over the last year. I think his music is incredible, super nice dude. But we were talking, and he's like, "Yeah, we drove up. We just weren't like, we're like, wow, this isn't a strip mall."
Right.
Yeah, from the back or the front, it doesn't look
now
like.
it's a strip mall with an adult store and a cannabis shop.
It's
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
one
yeah.
stop shopping, and the mattress store is right down there.
That adult store was pretty busy at noon today.
We were monitoring the customers. There was a strange array of customers.
Dude.
Yeah, but no, like not like hiding and then like no
Just
hiding,
living out.
just like
Yeah.
strolling in. Like the
And-
one
and
guy
all-
that strolled out. This one guy strolled out with a magazine. It's like people buy porn magazines still.
Magazine
Like
in a bag.
Yeah,
It's, like,
And,
zipped
and
up.
probably all ages too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there
of
was a
legal
group
age,
of girls
but-
going in for some sort of bachelorette.
Sure.
I was expecting them to come out with a giant inflatable thing or something. It was still in the bag, maybe.
A few years ago,
Fun people watching.
a few years ago, I came to Bo's. It was in the middle of the afternoon, and there's a corrections van.
Really?
Oh,
And I saw the guy walk out of the store, full prison guard outfit or something.
He's got the
Like, what is he there for work or pleasure? What's going on here?
that guy's making money,
No,
man.
he's bringing it back to jail. He's got the list of
Oh,
requests.
yeah.
That guy's bringing back
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did Donnie want again? Gigantic cheeks. What's that?
How long have we been talking?
I don't
for?
know when did.
20 minutes.
Uh,
I do want to ask real quick, just because you guys did just get back from Europe, and I know obviously the history and there's so much of the band that's come from what you've seen while traveling. But you just come back from Europe, and I think you guys were just in Drumheller. Did I?
We
see
were,
that?
yeah.
How does that rank among all of the world wonders that you've?
Well, the whole thing is,
the people you meet.
well, let's just give a shout out. Like, there's Drumheller, but the big shout out is to Wayne, Alberta.
Wayne, Last Chance.
You know what I mean? Last Chance
Yeah,
Saloon,
yeah.
which I was trying to sell these guys on playing a Sunday. I was like, we should just contact them and see if we can play a Sunday afternoon. But we're kind of tired, and I had just got my voice back from a couple weeks ago. And we're like, let's take the day off. But Wayne, Alberta, we recorded actually part of Mountain Meadows there. We had played Wayne Fest maybe a year previous or 2 years previous, and we're like, let's go out there. We have some time off. The whole area is gorgeous, like just the topography and
And our
everything.
sound tech, Jordan, is his first time through a lot of these areas. So we're like, let's take him to Drumheller and Wayne, you know? So we didn't get Wayne.
Some
We got
of the best
Drumheller.
sushi we've had in years.
In
I
Drumheller?
think it's called Doana. It's next to the Travelodge.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, we've found some crazy sushi in the prairies before.
Yeah.
This one was outstanding.
That's
It's
2 episodes in a row. Prairie Sushi's come
Prairie
out.
sushi.
Yeah.
Is a thing. I
That's
don't
our
know. if
thing.
it's
The funny thing is, like, I was like, guys, there's like a sushi place right next to the hotel, and I'm like, it gets 4.7, and the reviews are really good. I mean, it could just be people in Drumheller being like, this is amazing.
This is the
Or
sushi.
this is amazing.
That was
And it's
out of
like,
10. No.
no, but it was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Have you guys done the ferry that's out there at Drumheller? The Blariot. It's one of the
No.
last. And I think there's still a few running ferries in
Is it
Ontario,
like a
right?
rope
That
ferry one? Or
it's
what
the
is it?
rope
Yeah,
ferry.
must
Yeah,
have
it's
to
the
be,
old.
yeah.
I think there's only 2 left in Alberta.
Oh, wow.
And that Blariot one just outside.
I
of
don't
Drumheller is one of them.
know. I don't know where there would be a ferry of that size in
You could
Ontario.
almost drive across that river right now. It was pretty low.
Yeah.
out there, but-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. I mean, that place is beautiful. Obviously, it's a gorgeous part of the world. So.
Yeah, it's wild. It's really
They were
crazy.
having a bit of a party out there in the back, too. So, you know, it was a little hard to
Yeah,
sleep
we met
for a
some
bit.
roughnecks. We met
that
some,
right?
some
Yeah.
roughnecks getting ready
There was
for a
the miners
50-day
from
stint.
Newfoundland.
Yeah.
The amount of money that was offered to us to grab our guitars and prove that we were musicians. It's like,
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
give you $100. I'll give you $200. Play my wedding. It's just like, but they were really good individuals. But it was just like, man, we just want to watch some baseball and relax and go to
The guy made
bed.
me feel he had a.
You gotta tell it. You gotta tell
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So these guys are really like the salt of the earth Canadian hardcore working guys, right?
Yeah.
Like late 50s, like they've probably done a bunch of jobs. Now they're on the oil rigs or whatever they're doing, some kind of oil job. And the guy's like, I've been beaten up. My hand got cut off almost. And he shows me this scar. It's like re-sewed on. He's like, feel my head. He grabs my hand, and makes me rub this spot that has like no skull. It's like this soft, like gooey
Oh
part.
my
And I was like-
God.
and he's like, that's where I
Was
got.
he been
I forget
shot
what he
or
said. He
something?
said he got shot, but I don't know if that was a bullet hole or what. He's like, I'm fine though. But he made me touch it, and I was like, I had this like really like bad reaction. I felt terrible about my reaction. I was like, ugh! Like, just like my whole body felt weird by touching this soft brain thing. But yeah, and then he ended up. He was the one. So at this point, it's getting loud. We're at this picnic table. There's other people staying in the hotel, traveling, older people, and they're starting to really get like Alberta loud. Like we're drinking, and I mentioned putting on George Jones, and the guy started blasting George Jones through the Bluetooth. It's blaring. And I'm worried that this one guy is like, seemed like the type of guy who could just like snap at any moment.
Explode.
And he's a big dude, right? Like he could get angry if we don't do something. And he shut the party down. He's like, all right, I'm going to bed. It's like, oh, I've never seen that in my life. It's usually that's the guy who like is not ready to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And he was amazing. He just like shut it down. We all had a normal
I was
night.
surprised, actually.
Yeah,
Just- it
I was
turned
worried.
down. I
He
thought,
was
This is never
he
going to
was-
stop.
He kept amping up a little bit, and but he was great. They're beautiful Canadians. Beautiful, awesome.
Wow.
Good times. I mean,
Absolutely.
experiences, right? It's all about experiences.
And then
That's
we
life.
met a couple people who were traveling, and they came to our show in Calgary last night. They were there, and then they were these 2 French women from Quebec. They were a woman and her mother were seeing the Rockies, and they ended up at the show. It was awesome. And they
That's
stayed to the end.
fantastic.
It was great. So you make these weird things happen all the time. It's very strange.
Well, I learned, and I've lived in Alberta my entire life. I'd never heard of drift pile before, until I saw that you guys played a festival in Drift Pile, Alberta.
We did.
And I'm like,
that might be the one then. That was
Maybe.
it.
do you remember that one? It was in Drift, and it was quite a bit up north. I think it's east of Grand Prairie.
So is that North Country Fair, or is that the one?
I don't.
That'd be North Country.
No,
or,
that's in the same area, but it might
up
be
in
the one we
Slave Lake.
did near Slave Lake.
It would be near Slave Lake. It would be in that vicinity.
That's
A long
North-
time ago, we ended up getting an extra long.
And Sam Roberts.
Is that one? Is it
No.
labeled
Are you
in the Wikipedia? There, I think it's in the
I think I
Wikipedia
saw
entry
it,
too
yeah.
as well.
I
About
thought it
playing a festival
actually
in
had Drift Pile in the name, though, but I might be mistaken.
But it's near Slave Lake, like
It would be well north of Edmonton.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's probably the one with all the
Well,
crazy
you think you
trailers
wouldn't
that
forget playing a place called Drift
Sloan
Pile.
and Sam Roberts.
This is where I'm saying it's just like how far north of Edmonton?
Oh, we're like you're probably still a good 5 hours north of Edmonton.
Okay, so that's one of the
Grand
festivals
Prairie.
that's the one that we played a long time ago, and one of the headliners, we were the second closing headliner, and the headliner couldn't make it, and they're like, "Can you guys play like another hour?" And we're like, "No, okay, that one."
We know 7 songs, but here you
We'll
go.
just
No,
do
but at that
different
time-
versions of them.
At that time, I think we were at 2 or 3 records, so we had a few more. We could, we
The
could. add it.
Samsonite's only got enough to get through an hour here, folks. I'm sorry.
That's the one. That's the one where it was just like where the A&W was. Where
That was North Country. But
is that North Country? But I
All
don't
right,
remember
whilst-
that name. I don't remember that name, Drift Pile. That doesn't ring a bell.
Well, it helped me learn something new about my home province.
So you don't check your Wikipedia every day.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
All
that's
right,
a lie.
okay.
That is a
just-
lie.
Write it.
You
Do we
write it.
write it? We rewrite it every day.
There's been a
Can you
few
imagine that if you actually went in to check your Wikipedia like every day?
Oh, you know people do it.
Oh,
you
people
know
do it
people
for
I
do
know
sure.
it.
certain people do, but who? Yeah.
The one with Stampeders was somewhere up there, and I don't know. It was somewhere north, like west of Edmonton, somewhere.
Not by 5 hours though.
Maybe I don't know. We flew in and drove for a while.
Stampeders was a little.
I mean, there's so much
Near
scenery.
it,
Like
yeah.
5 hours would fly by.
Yeah, it was way.
You're
out
being
there.
sarcastic?
Remember
Maybe a
that
little.
beach? It was like this weird northern beach. It was like I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Well, Pete and I'll
fact check-
drive up
we'll-
there next
yeah,
week and
we'll
see if we
fact
can
check.
find
You tell us.
it. Yeah.
That part of we've been up in that area a few times. We did the first Core Blend tour, but us up there, I think.
Cool.
Through, like Grand Prairie and all that stuff.
And then going back to Lethbridge being the first home away from home, did you know Corb before the Lethbridge
No,
stuff? Or was that
strangely enough,
through-
it's funny because
Everyone
his
told us
poster,
about him.
well, his poster from that tour, which was the $5 bill tour, I think, was everywhere we went. So we had never even heard of the guy, and everywhere we went, I think we were behind him or
in
ahead
the
of him by 2
Smalls,
days.
Too. His old band.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
but,
No,
that,
he was on
the
tour.
It was like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like we were in the same sort of places almost 2 or 3 days after or before him, and we at the time Change in Winnipeg, that poster's still up. You see it every time.
Wow.
And that's how we sort of first,
Yeah.
knew him, and then we ended up touring together. And
I just brought
Canada.
up Smalls because that was his old band, and like that was also like the ghost of Corb because every friggin' band room had a Smalls sticker, like,
Right,
everywhere.
right.
There was these on bunk beds and.
That reminds me of another story I heard you guys get into a little bit too about passing the Smashing Pumpkins in various airports,
was
or
in
kind of
Aus-
tailing the Smashing Pumpkins a little bit.
That was in Australia, actually, of
Oh,
all
wow.
places.
there's
And-
no mistaking Billy
No.
Corgan.
No,
He's like a
no.
giant bald vampire. with a
He's wearing a Zero T-shirt. No, he wasn't. But
like, that's
He's-
only one person.
it seemed like he wore that for like a
Taller than I
decade.
thought. I never
Oh,
was
really?
such a tall guy. Yeah, I was thinking of his sort of diminutive somehow.
Oh, he's like
Oh, he's a
weird
big dog,
lanky.
Yeah.
Well, his girlfriend was also very tiny, so maybe it was like
Yeah, maybe.
it was like
Actually, I sent them a photo. It's his Easter photo this year with his family. I don't know if you've seen it. It's pretty hilarious. It looks like Darth Vader.
I think so. I
It's
think I
like
know what you're
once
talking
Darth
about.
Vader, like once
Mask
Darth
off,
Vader took his
Darth-
mask
yeah,
off, you're
yeah.
like Billy Corgan.
Yeah. Oh my god. That's incredible. That's incredible.
And you know what? In all fairness, like Smashing Pumpkins was a huge influence on me as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Two albums from me,
like
and then
Siamese Dream was like
I'm a two
phenomenal.
I would
Gish
so-
and Siamese Dream.
Melancholy for
I went through
I
and
didn't
listened
like
to
that
that,
record a lot.
the acronym shows that you guys did.
right.
And I so badly just wanted to jump in. I'm like, don't make the whole podcast about your thoughts on those.
I
But
got
I'm
in an
curious to
argument with
know,
the Smashing
like,
Pumpkins
it's so.
part.
I wonder that all the time. How people are like, oh yeah, I like these albums from these. Like, I'm way different. If I get into a band, I'm into a band, and I love all the stuff regardless.
Oh, yeah?
But you're
I-
hard and
I
fast.
stopped,
You
yeah.
2 albums of the Pumpkins,
Honestly,
and you're done.
Gish and Siamese Dream are masterpieces, and by the time it gets to Melancholy, I'm just like, I don't know what. He
And
cut
what
his
was it?
hair off, and that was it.
You don't like the orchestral
1979 is one of the worst songs I've ever heard. Just as my own subjective opinion, I cannot stand
Now,
it.
is it the worst song because it's, or is it because
Because it
you
just-
heard it so much and it's so
Smashing
I
overblown?
think it
and
wasn't because it went away from like what I loved about the massive production of that
Yeah.
band.
It went to the pop side of things,
Yeah,
right? And it's
totally.
like
Yep.
it was like if you like mayonnaise and all that stuff off of Siamese Dream, you're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, these are phenomenal records and songs. It's like, did they ever get played on the radio? No,
No.
they didn't. You know what I mean? Like Cherub Rock got played,
Yep.
which is phenomenal. It's rock and roll, and it's just like this is phenomenal. And then you have strumming. And don't get me wrong, he tapped into something with 1979. It is.
unnecessary double album. It's a double album.
You're absolutely
It's like
right.
unnecessary. It's like
You're
it's just this like blah. Here what are you doing, man?
Also,
Like,
if you're
come
a
on.
Maskus or a DJ
Oh,
fan,
huge,
like you're not,
huge.
there's a time to
It's
put it
spl-
away.
Yeah.
DJ, you don't have to worry about
Exactly.
Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah.
making anything bad.
No, they're
Like,
gonna do what
yeah.
they do all the time, and I think that's what it was for me. I was like betrayed by this like
Yeah.
softer,
Yep.
Yeah.
whinier to me version.
Arguably
But now,
chart
doesn't
chasing.
that, like, I think it's so many bands that do that. Like, doesn't that make you afraid to try something different as a band? Like, don't you sometimes think, I'd like to try a little something, but now you're, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I liked Elliott Brood's first 7 albums, but man, they took off
I liked
after.
our first albums too, and it's been rough ever since.
Yeah, but it just seems though he's going towards a certain audience to grab that cash.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
especially when you love a band
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, this is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then you're like,
Well, I ended up getting in a pretty good back and forth with our publicist, Aaron, who was on there going like, what are you talking about? Melancholy's amazing. And I was like, and we ended up going private after that. I'm like, you're wrong, you're
shit.
wrong. But whatever. Music is so subjective. It doesn't, none of this matters. You like what you just like what you like and don't care what anyone else says about it. But yeah, to me, it was like, there's a bunch of bands that I'm a two, even Weezer, I'll say it, first 2, my favorites. And then after that, I'm like, and then it came back again. And I love all the more recent stuff. But there's a lot of bands that are 2 and out for me that I like really like. I own the first 2 and I wouldn't buy the next one.
and just to get to songwriting or to go like from our perspective is like ultimately you write for yourself.
Yep.
And I think once you kind of cross that line and you're like, I'm writing for this, as opposed to I'm just gonna write for me and be very selfish about it. And it's just like, if somebody likes it, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like once you cross that line, it kind of you can. I think as an artist or as people that are listening, sometimes you can instantly hear it. You can. It's not to use the word fake, but it
Well, there's
seems.
also, I mean, so many bands, the hunger of your first record.
Yeah.
That whole thing of like you have your whole life to write your first album, and the second one, if that's good, that's amazing. But a third good album is fucking hard to come with a third solid record.
How have we done 7? Holy shit!
No, but if you're talking about major bands at like a level of like you know Pearl Jam, those major rock bands, to have a third one that is as good as your first 2, that's tough. That's
It's funny.
very
I
difficult.
think I'm pretty
to do
sure.
that.
I can't remember the exact number, but Phineas, Billie Eilish's brother,
Yeah.
he had said that there isn't a band out there that has more than 5 great albums.
That's
And like
probably
honestly, like even if
pretty-
you like think of the Beatles, you
what
can't
about
name
the
5.
Stones?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
The
Even
Well, the Stones
like
might get
and
there.
great.
Actually, now
like
that I
They
think
gotta
are
have
there
more than 5.
5 great
Yeah, but
albums?
You could, like, there
Exile
must
on
have
Main
one or-
Street.
like
Sticky.
Fleetwood Mac. Rumors. What comes even close to Rumors? I don't
Right.
know. Nothing. Right. Like,
Right.
but I would take
But,
that
I
over
mean,
5 good
yeah.
records, anyways.
But how often? Okay, Fleetwood Mac. How often do you hit that stride where you're playing as a band? Because if you go back to Fleetwood Mac earlier albums, it's not that
Well,
great.
different. Do you
But
have
it's
a
just
perfect
like
different.
album? Do you have any you consider perfects between you guys? Like, is there a
Yeah.
perfect where there's no skips?
Oh yeah. Honestly, there's
I'm a
quite a
big
few.
fucked up fan. I got
Quite
a
a
couple
few.
fucked up records that are like chemistry. I think is pretty much perfect.
Yeah. And it just
I
everything
think
works.
Amazing.
Yeah.
there's a couple. There's.
Did
I-
they
I'd have
win?
to
They
think.
won Polaris for that
Yeah,
one.
they did.
Yeah.
Which was I think a huge moment for just like independent
year?
Canadian.
It was
music,
our
too.
year. Yeah.
That was.
Oh,
Oh
shit,
shit!
it Chad Van
Huge
Galen.
moment for us.
Way to bring that one up, Patrick.
No, but you know what? You know what?
8 gig iPods for that.
That's-
Oh.
that's right.
That's very nice.
You know what? That was actually like being there, like Chad Van Galen, fucked up. Metric.
Yeah.
Who else? Us.
Wasn't
Cadence
also-
Weapon
wasn't
probably had
Ryley
an album in
on
there.
that one?
What was the guy? Waving Flag.
Kanon.
Kanon was there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
didn't win.
Yeah.
Like, and that was like a pivotal record for him.
Yeah.
obviously.
Fantasies too. That Metric album was I don't know that was a big album for them. So it's cool that Fucked Up won that. 'cause
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, that's what Polaris is. It should be about something a little bit different than
Somebody that pushes the boundaries of stuff, and it's just like, okay, you're out there doing your thing and not caring
Yeah.
for what.
wasn't.
You know,
also
Zune
Patrick Watson in
put out
that
an
year?
amazing
You're right.
record.
Patrick
Yeah.
Watson was in that year. That's
Yeah.
insane, man.
I'm doing my Polaris voting. It's due on Friday.
Oh right.
Fuck, it's hard.
Or is this the long list? Right.
Yes.
Right.
But you get to choose 5 for the
Oh,
long
really?
list, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then they narrow it down to 40 based on the weighted options.
Yeah.
But like
So hard.
my scope of music in this country is like grown exponentially because of being involved in this.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any easier.
But isn't it amazing the talent?
It's incredible.
Like on a daily basis,
it's
like
incredible.
Boy Golden
Yeah.
out of Winnipeg. Like I heard his song. He put it out on 6 Shooter Records. 6 Shooter posted it.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
Oh,
instantly, I'm just like, holy shit. And I don't DM people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I checked out your whole record. This is phenomenal. Like, you have like just watching his video, you're like, he has this charisma. I'm like, kudos, man. Like, just rock it out. Just do whatever you're doing. It's phenomenal. And he's like, oh, we met before. And I'm like, what? Where did we meet? He's like, oh, at the time's changed. I was like, oh, and I'm like, what? And it's just like the shit that he's putting out.
Yeah.
Zune out of Winnipeg as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Boy Golden was a great moment for me because I'd heard Katie and Lunchmeat on the radio. And immediately it was like,
And
what
then
the
it
fuck
became-
is this? And
Yes.
then, so it's bad for radio because I stopped listening right away and went to see what else there was. And then the album was there. And that's one that I would put as a perfect album for me. That's easily my favorite album
I'm
of the last
telling you,
year.
like, I've listened to that
Fantastic.
album so much. And it's just like, the whole thing is like, that he had a #1 hit across this country on
Yeah.
the radio
Yeah.
is like, kudos, man. Like, that's like,
It's incredible.
You don't get that. And it's like, and he did. And it's like, and he's so quiet.
Yeah.
But he's like, he has this confidence about him. And it's just like, I just hope he, hits the heights of heights for
Well,
what he's putting
he's
in.
hanging
next
with
week.
like unreal
Yeah.
talented like players.
That whole, and we've talked about
stable
over
is
and over. like,
incredible. Fuck.
Winnipeg comes up so fucking often on this
Yeah. Oh,
podcast
yeah.
about how great the musicianship and
The whole,
the whole
like
that
to add Saskatoon or Saskatchewan in general.
in there
but
for sure.
Just, I think, well, let's say Saskatoon, or pardon me, Saskatchewan, the whole province. You have the Dead South, you have the Deep Dark Woods. Andy Schaaf is from there.
Yep.
Casey and Clayton are from there. Like, it's crazy the amount of Coulter
Coulter,
Wall
yeah.
is from there. Like, these are people here don't even maybe know they are, but in the rest of the world in the United States, they know who those
Yeah.
people are. It's wild. All from the prairies. And like, you get into like, the talent that we've met over the years out of Winnipeg and Manitoba. It's the Garys. I don't know if you know
wild.
them
Yep.
yet, but
Yep.
they're ones who like we got to do a few shows on our last proper tour, I think it was, before all the mess. Was it here? Did we?
I think we played Bose here.
There you go. That makes sense. There you go.
And that would be 2017.
Prairie
I think.
Surf Rock. It's like Prairie Sushi.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Somehow it is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But anyways, it's a wealth of
Stamp that,
talent.
get
No,
that on
it's
t-shirts.
incredible.
We're good to go.
We had Begonia
Yeah,
open up
you
for
share the stage with her
Shaky
too.
Graves a few weeks ago. Holy, I don't think I've ever
Begonia's-
been in a room
What a voice.
with someone
Just
with that voice.
Totally captivates you. You can't help but pay attention
That's
to
what
what's going on.
I've only recently really discovered like what Coulter Wall does. I'm like, that kid's in his 20s.
Yeah.
What on earth is happening right now?
And a little side note is like the Dead South and Coulter Wall played their very first shows at the Exchange. Like that's like two bands that like gone on to like 2 acts, I should say, that have gone on. It's like, but it's just amazing. I don't know. There's something about our country that produces.
Well, our prairies are the
like-
Seattle of the 90s for like the music we like. Even like Royal Canoe and stuff like that with like prairie bands. Like it's wild. And I don't know if it's because of why. Why do you just have time to play music? Are you raised with it more?
What were we talking with? It was just like the winters are so dark, and it's just like you have time to hang out with your friends, and like that's what music's about.
Yeah.
Is hanging out with your buddies and your friends and kind of getting along, having beers, drinks, and creating something. Doesn't matter where it goes, just creating something. And it's like, and if it's real, like Boy Golden, it's gonna hit people like that, and it does. Like it's true, It's like, anyways. William Prince. Yeah, it's like all of that shit.
Dump Trucks, that's a 70s reference. I don't know if you know that
Humphrey
band,
and
but
the
check out
Dump Trucks.
Humphrey and the Dump Trucks. I'm telling you. Song called Calgary. Check it out.
Humphrey and the Dump Trucks.
Saskatchewan band from like 70s, late
Way
70s.
to go, man.
And Elliott Brood. What a
you go.
list. All right. I think that is a good
we've
place
done
to
it.
end
Sorry,
it.
we've done it.
Check.
Good work, guys.
We were thinking of
Thank
getting
you.
like a mailbox in the prairie so we could apply for the awards. We want to get in on that mix. Come on, let us have a PO box out
Yeah.
there so we can at least compete.
We can set it up. You can use Bose.
Yeah, there you go. Done.
Yeah.
It's your patio after all.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sitting down and hanging
Thanks,
out.
guys.
It was a
Thank you,
blast.
Have a great show tonight. Look forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. Elliott Brood. What a fun discussion.
What a great discussion.
It was great.
And again, that's when you're looking at the time and you haven't really realized how much has gone by.
Yeah.
You're having a good chat.
At one point he said 20 minutes. I was like, if it is 20 minutes, that was a busy 20 minutes. And it was not. It was like an hour at that point. But really great time with them. And the show after was fantastic. Again, check out Elliott Brood.
Do not miss them when they come to town. There's absolutely no way you can have a banjo placed in front of you or a guy playing a banjo or a girl playing a banjo in front of you and not have a good time.
Yeah, or a musician playing bass with their feet.
It was the
Very
only
impressive.
thing I could kind of compare a little bit with is Black Pistol Fire, who we had a big announcement that their tour is coming again.
Yeah.
But same
August
thing. Not that
29th?
he's playing the bass with his feet, but just a drummer who's got more
More going
on
on. Yeah.
than just
No, it's very impressive. So yeah, check out Elliott BROOD. Tonight you are in Vancouver seeing Jack White.
Last night.
It's Tuesday night?
The show is Tuesday night.
Oh, you've seen Jack White. How was
I've
it?
seen Jack White, and let me tell you, it was absolutely phenomenal.
Well,
you want me to recite the set list?
No, we'll get into details next week maybe when the Road the Stage returns on
Wednesday.
The Road the Stage is produced by Ryan Kuly and Ryley Surian at the Communal Creative Studios in Red Deer, Alberta. In partnership with Go Services Inc., Sawback Brewing Co., Tourism Red Deer, and Beau's Bar and Stage.